Hello, and welcome to our Computer Science Education Week Student Industry Leader Panel. Yes, this is the second one for the week. This is the wrap up for our Computer Science Education Week, and we are joined by two um, phenomenal phenomenal leaders in the industry and two classrooms from Aldine. So you see the bell just changed. Classes, students are coming in. Kids, wave, tell everybody out there hello. We see in one window, we see Mr. Ramirez's class from Aldine Middle School, and in the other window, we see Mrs. Gonzalez's class at Grantham Academy. So both of these are actually computer science classes, and I hope you can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Excellent. Excellent day. All right, so we're actually going to start, instead of me introducing who's on the panel and who these magnificent people are, they are going to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with an elevator pitch. So, Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Ramirez, all of the students in the room, we are all in one big elevator with Catherine and Matt, and they are going to tell us who they are, where they work, and how they got to where they are in computer science. Ready? Each have 2 minutes. Let's start with Catherine.
Alrighty, can y'all hear me? Thumbs up. Or yeah. So for now, I am a computer science major and I plan on specializing in cybersecurity. I was originally a psychology major, actually. But I switched kind of recently because I realized it's more affordable and it's better for me long term. And I'm currently an intern at Trill Project, which is a social media platform that encourages anonymity and how to get into CS. I pretty much just, like I said, just got into it because of affordability and it's better for me. So I hope that explains all of it.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's go over to Matt.
Just unmuting there. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt. I am a software engineering manager at JP Morgan, and my path into technology was I graduated from University of Wisconsin, Madison, and I actually had an English degree, and I knew I wanted to move to New York City, so I moved to New York, and found a job at JP Morgan as a on the year 2000 project. So this is going to date me a little bit. Around the time when the world was turning from 1999 to 2000, everyone was very concerned about how the computer systems would handle that change. And there was huge project teams that were formed to basically do a lot of testing of all the applications and computers that computer systems that the firm used, and I was part of that team that did the testing for all of JP Morgan systems. So that's how I got into technology, and I've had a long career since then of getting into software engineering and building websites and mobile apps and other things that our clients and our bankers use every day.
Hey, we have one more joining us. Let's see if we can pull up Wendy. There she is. Wendy's joining us, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. Wendy, we have a 2-minute elevator pitch, and we're asking, what was your path to computer science? So tell us your name, where you work, and how did you get to this pathway through computer science? Oh, your mic is muted. Oh, no. Can you guys hear?
No.
Maybe try unplugging your headphones and plugging them back in. No, what we'll do is we'll work on it on the back end and come back around. Um, let's see about one of the. Let's go to Mr. Ramirez's class. Mr. Ramirez, if you could select one student to ask a question of our panelists. Make sure you unmute.
Okay, now talk.
Oh, no. Oh. Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi. I got a question. How hard is it to be a game developer?
Thank you. Let's see if they can answer that question for you.
You know, why don't I take that one? Now, I enjoy video games. I definitely do. And since I was probably around your all's age. But you know, I don't work with video games. But that industry in technology is huge, as you can imagine. There's so many games, and they're all fun to play. And there's a lot of people buying games, right? And so it's a big business. And you know, I would say that building and developing games is getting easier and easier. And it's amazing to see the technology, you know, tools that are there that make it easier for game developers. But I'd emphasize that being part of making a game isn't just about coding games. There's so many aspects of it. There's testing the games. Did you know that there's probably people who have jobs getting paid to play video games? No, because there's a testing effort that's needed for these things to make sure they work for everyone. So, you know, there's so many fields in game development and technology generally. You know, testing, project management, lots of aspects of building these products.
Okay, we're going to see if we can get Wendy to answer that too. She wanted to respond. No, we still can't. Can you unplug your headphones? Thank you guys for your patience. No. Okay. While she's trying to figure that out, let's ask Miss Gonzalez's class and see if they can answer the next question.
Hello, everybody. This is Carlos. He's going to ask a question.
What programming language do you guys prefer?
I'll start out and answer the question if that's okay. I prefer Python, even you know, just starting with it technically. And I prefer it because it's so versatile. You can literally do almost anything with it. Anything from literally coding games to coding other cool stuff like that. And for me, I'm mainly like operating system focused, so I'm really focusing on that aspect of it. That's what I really like.
Excellent. Go ahead and answer for us while she's still trying to. If you would like to answer, you can go ahead and answer the question.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would say Python's a great language. I agree. It's so versatile, and we're using that a lot in our area. Python's a great one. We're using React.js a lot on the front end. So web development is a big focus. Many things are powered by the web and the internet, and there's a website for everything. So we use a language and framework called React, which is based on JavaScript and TypeScript are the actual languages that are used. But web development and React is another big one.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Trying to see if we'll give Wendy one more shot. Let's see. Oh, she's grabbing another pair of headphones. Okay, so just so you all know, too, the 2 classes that are here, they are learning Python. Thumbs up, kids. Am I right? Even the teacher thumbs us in the picture. Yes, they are all learning Python. So, and then in other grades, they are also doing web development. So, just about right on it. So, let's go back to Mr. Ramirez. And oh, they're excited.
I got a question.
We're ready.
What are some good schools for computer science?
That's a great question. I'll go first. I think more and more all higher education institutions have great programs. And what we're seeing more and more is a lot of boot camps as well. So there's so many opportunities for, getting education, getting beyond, high school in computer science and technology. So really any college, any degree program is going to have a computer science department or an MIS degree, which is, more sort of systems based. And like I said, the boot camps, sometimes they have these, multi-week, several month programs. So if you're interested in technology and have a little bit of experience on your own, because YouTube, there's so much information on the internet about programming. So you can learn a lot by yourself. And when you do that, then you can do one of these boot camps and get some formal training on some of the tools and things like that, and really build on your own personal education as well.
I would have to agree with Matt. Is that your name, Matt? Yeah, I would have to agree with you and say, like, a lot of people will actually try and recommend like Stanford or Harvard or whatever for schools, but state schools and also boot camps are actually really great alternatives for this. And they can teach you about the same information as Ivy Leagues. So you have options, gladly.
I'm going to do a follow-up question to that. You said you're currently in school.
Yes.
What school are you currently in now?
Currently Lone Star College, and I once I'm done with my current degree, I'm gonna sign up for their bachelor's program or the bachelor's program at Western Governors. So yeah, either one.
Excellent, excellent. Ms. Gonzalez, you ready for the next question?
Yes, we are. So next up is Julie.
How do you support computer science in schools?
What are some ways that you guys support?
Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay.
Or would like to support?
Okay. So for me, right now, at the moment, I am taking advantage of all the virtual opportunities, and I'm actually mentoring a lot at hackathons. With especially like in the hardware side, more especially because that's something I'm interested in. And I'm also just mentoring wherever I can, whether it be on like LinkedIn and networking there, or just talking to people. And actually, I think I actually signed up for Microsoft Teals, which is also a great initiative to consider if you're in college or beyond.
Yes, similarly, I started volunteering with Teals this year, and trying to get involved in supporting computer science education in the schools, and so that's been a really great program, and to have that opportunity. Before that, my daughter really enjoyed robotics at her middle school, and so I helped as a coach on the first FLL Lego League robotics. And, I think that's another great program that has sort of built awareness of computer science and STEM careers.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. Can we hear you now, Wendy?
Can you confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's my favorite part of anything computer related, IT related, is the unexpected that happens and what we do to arrive at resolutions. So that was kind of fun. It was a real life example.
Absolutely. And would you want to answer maybe this question on how you support computer science in schools, or how you would like to support?
One is getting involved with TEALS. And this past year, unfortunately, I had to relocate. So I left Texas and I'm in the Midwest now. But before I did leave, we set up a donated computer library for Oakhurst Cold Spring. I reached out to all my peers that I know across different companies in the industry that I've had the pleasure of working with and said, please send computers. And they did. And I think that I'd like to take every opportunity to educate and teach. I've taught waitresses how to code. It's inside and outside of schools. There's this mythology that's been around. Forgive me, I'm going to date myself. I think I'm older than the other two panelists. But back when I was in school, girls didn't take computer classes. I was the only girl. And oftentimes you didn't have a representation of different socioeconomic groups either. So my mission is to work with kids wherever they come from, whatever their point of origin. If they don't have the resources, try to find them and turn folks onto it and say, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be a computer programmer. You have to be a problem solver. If you like solving problems, you don't have to memorize all the techno garbage, which is an offset word I use. You don't have to memorize every function on the planet. You have to know the problem you're trying to solve, the approach you might take to solving it, and go find the tools that'll let you do it. So I try and help anybody and everybody with that methodology and mindset.
Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to go back to, I think we're back in Mr. Ramirez's class for the next question. Or was it? Yes, I think it's yours. Go ahead.
So what subjects will help me in computer science?
Great question. Great question. Who wants to take it first?
I can go. So I think math is a big one. That there is math in and logic, especially in computer science. But it doesn't. You don't necessarily need to do the advanced math classes. But having a good grounding in mathematics is important. Just overall, I would think, the other advice I've said is technology is used in everything. So gaining experience in any field, you'll be able to apply technology. So as an example, how many enjoy music? Or games we talked about before. If you study music and want to apply technology to that, there's careers in that as well.
Excellent point. Which one of you? Let's go to Wendy. Wendy, tell me what subjects do you think they need to will help them with computer science?
And this is in no way to contradict what my peer just said, because he is correct. Math is important. Anything where you have a problem you're trying to solve, and that could be math, that could be science. Chemistry is a great big algebra problem in my mind, and that's what it was when I took it. Music classes, even, and I don't know if they still offer them, but workshop classes like woodshop or automotive tech, anywhere that you're learning how to solve a problem, create a solution, because that teaches you the skill set you need to approach a problem. And again, your approach, you go look for the tools to solve it. So you don't have to necessarily sit through trigonometry level 3, although I highly recommend it to everybody. It's a good time. Take classes where you can solve problems. And if there's classes that let you get your hands on something like music, or like pottery, making pottery, anything that lets you solve the problem in front of you and find that success. That analytical thinking along the way is going to be your biggest boon if you go into tech, if you're going into programming or QA testing or that kind of thing. If you can pick the problem and come up with your approach, go get your toolbox and use your tools to execute your approach, you'll do well.
Excellent. Would you like to share too?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. To add on to what they said, yeah, math is actually a really big component in my opinion, because math and computer science can relate. And funny enough, for me, I did study music for like 10 years. So I'd recommend doing that too if you're passionate about that. And also language classes in terms of like grammar and syntax and all that. I would recommend picking up a language or two because that can help you just like connect like how can I learn like grammar and stuff in this language compared to my programming lessons. So that's what I would recommend.
Let's go back to Ms. Gonzalez's class for the next question.
Okay, next up is Camila. Please, Camila.
If you could give advice to your teenage self, what would it be?
If you could give advice to your teenage self, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll go first. I would recommend, especially to my middle school self, because I know I was interested in programming at that point, but lost it shortly after for a time. I would say get interested in programming and all that because it will be worth it, and it will be something I would pursue eventually, and I am now. And I regret losing interest in it, honestly. So, like, if you are kind of interested in this, I would recommend pursuing it if you really, really want to.
Yeah, I would echo that. I did take some computer science courses in high school and college, but I never really focused on it. If I had, I would have been an easier path, getting involved early in that would have made it open up even more doors. So that would have been good advice to really focus on computer science and learning languages and things like that.
And Wendy?
I think it would have been, don't be afraid to fail because you will fail along the way. It's what makes you successful, recovering from that failure. A big mindset is if you make a mistake, then you don't need to do what you're doing. And what I've learned as an engineer is you're going to make mistakes all the time. When you get a syntax error, when you're processing and you're not compiling, that's a mistake. But that mistake doesn't have to end your experience. Learn from the mistake, layer off it, and keep on going. It'll be worth it in the long run.
I would add one more thing, if you don't mind. Ask for help. One of the things that I didn't do enough in at the end of my college when I was thinking about a career was go to the career services offices and use the resources that are there. Talk to your counselors about what you're passionate about and what you're interested in. Talk to your teachers. They really, your success is their success. And use resources like volunteers and others in your community. We can help you find to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Ramirez, your next student.
Are there good jobs here in Texas for computer science?
Yes.
Mhm.
Very much
ahead.
so. Did you hear that Elon Musk moved to Texas from California?
You
And
might need to tell them who Elon Musk
Elon
is.
Musk, if you've ever heard of the Tesla cars or the SpaceX, he's the creator of those companies. And so Texas there's huge opportunities for computer science and STEM careers in Texas.
Absolutely. The pinnacle of my geek career, I think right now, was working with NASA last year and working with their offices in Washington and down in Texas. It was very, very cool. And even more so, there are good jobs in Texas, but because of technology right now, you can be in Texas and still have a really good job in computer related sectors, because I was in Texas for 4.5 years. The company that I work for is in Kansas. So physically I was in Texas, working for a company in Kansas, working for NASA in Washington and Texas. So your geography is in no way a limiter, but to his point, Elon Musk did just move to Texas and Tesla's coming with him.
And like Wendy said, you worked for NASA, right?
I worked with NASA. Yeah.
Okay. So like she said, you could work for NASA if you wanted to, or you could actually work in the oil industry. You might think that, okay, like maybe just oil engineers or petroleum engineers are the only thing there. No, like you can actually work with programming in those industries. So yeah, you're not limited.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see, Ms. Gonzalez, do you have any students that have any additional questions? And those in the audience who are watching on YouTube, you can also drop in the comment section if any students have a question where you are, as we are going to, we're getting close to concluding.
Okay, here's our last question.
Who was the primary influencer to steer you to consider computer science and why?
Who would like to start? Who encouraged you to go into computer science?
For myself, my encouragement wasn't another human being. I was a waitress for almost 30 years, and I also worked in a horse barn and drove a school bus. And in my late 30s, when my boys got old enough to tend for themselves after school, I sat down and had a good long talk with myself about, do I really want to wait tables and drive a school bus and shovel horse poop when I'm an old lady? And y'all can see I'm a little bit of an old lady now. I've got some gray hair. But that's when I decided to go back, because I thought there has to be something I can do that's just as challenging as these things, but that will be more engaging for me here and also provide a better income for my family. And that's exactly what it did. It provided me a way to learn new skills and provide my children with a better life, because I was doing a job that paid considerably more. And that's the brass tacks of why I went down this path.
Excellent, excellent story. Love her story. Love her story. So the history, love her story. Okay, who else would like to share?
I'll go next if that's all right. So for me, it wasn't necessarily one person, I guess. Like actually a lot of my friends and even my parents sat me down, and at some point, and they're like, hey, like your other degree plan was not working out. Like you need a better solution. And you seem to like computers a lot. And funny enough, I do have a mentor now, by the way. I'd highly recommend getting one if you're in CS. And they all sat me down and they told me, you should probably pursue this field because it's just worth it for you. And well, I'm in university for it.
Yeah, similarly for me, I would say it wasn't one person. It was, my parents were an influence because, they were into technology and buying, they got a computer for us to use when I was young, when not everyone had computers at that time. My friends were into technology because of video games and the internet, which was, you know, just budding at that time. So it was really a combination of all those factors.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's see. Now, Mr. Ramirez, do you have a final question? Do you have a student with a final question?
I have the final question. What can I do by myself to get better at CS?
Great question. Great final question.
So I mentioned before, so I'll say it again. There's so many resources. There's YouTube videos about how to code. There's, you know, every programming language has a website with really, really good resources. You know, there's Hour of Code, you know, things like these. So get involved, you know, and seek out those things, and find those. You know, sometimes it's just a Google search away when you have a question about how do I do computer science? How do I write in Python?
I would agree with that. And I would say that for anyone who wants to get better and wants to pursue this, the outside of those resources that you can have, get yourself mentors and ask the questions and pursue the knowledge. When I came up, I didn't have very many mentors. Even at that late age in school, you would think somewhere in 2007 there would be more females in the classes I was in, but there weren't. It was very hard to find a mentor who looked like me. They are out there. Go out there. Ask somebody, will you mentor me? And what you'll find out a lot of times is folks who are already in tech. We know what we had to learn to come up, and we know who helped us on the way, and we want to help the same way. So reach out and say, will you be my mentor? Will you give me guidance? And that will make your learning path so much more efficient and effective if you have someone who gives you a little guidance.
Excellent, excellent. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, as Wendy said, like I said before, I would highly, highly recommend getting a mentor, even if it's just for discussing in-field, you know, things. And nowadays, that's what I mainly do, is discuss just in-field related topics, which is totally fine, actually. And I would also recommend, like Matt said, practice, 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 and watch a lot of videos and content surrounding it. So that's my best advice.
Yeah.
Excellent. I want all of the students, because I know one class is getting ready to dismiss. Can all of the students wave and thank the volunteers, thank these wonderful people, these software engineers, students, for sharing. Thank Wendy, Catherine, and Matt for their time. Thank you, students, for the wonderful questions and for asking. And all of you who are watching, this is recorded, so you can definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we hope to have more opportunities like this to be able to share with students all across Aldine. Happy Computer Science Education Week, everybody. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Good luck.
And panelists, if you can just hold on 1 minute as we are stopping the recording.